Okay, 911 owners, 1985 to 94. Gentlemen, start your engines. We're looking at heritage work here on the 88 Coupe and in factory original linen. It's a very nice car actually. It's the Guards Red, I think it's called, and with the linen. And the original interior was in fairly good condition, but soiled and old, stale looking, and there's a world of difference between that and brand spanking new from Heritage, as you can see. So we're starting, as I usually start, with an overview, and then we're going to look at things in closer detail as we go, but we'll walk down the table to see this and talk about some of the things that separate Heritage from the pack. I'll start by saying we make the very best Porsche upholstery in the world, second to none, and I hope to prove that in the video. I think it'll be entirely obvious. Why am I so confident that that's the case? Well, this is our 30th year in business, and I've never done dealer work for any of the models we do. We just do Jag, Porsche and Mercedes. And we did our first dealer work. It was an order placed by Porsche Palm Springs and sanctioned by Stuttgart for their classic center for a classic Porsche that has been sold in the showroom as a new car. We're very proud to say that we were their choice for that project. And in fact, I have a little piece of it on the table here, and I will talk about that in a few minutes. But such is our standard of workmanship and reputation. There's a lot of things that separate us from the pack, and one of them is this beautiful, accurate, and consistently accurate cut-in table, which in fact the whole job is laid out on. It's over 20 feet long and nearly 8 feet wide. It's a plenum that holds the material down, and we use this for cutting accurately CAD files. Some of the pieces that you see many of the pieces for the leather were hand cut, but we also use this machine very effectively. It gives us a great advantage. In fact, that was one of the reasons why Porsche chose us for the work, because their earlier car has the punch speaker holes in the rear deck, and there's a separate video down below you guys can see our machine operating to do that. That really cemented the deal. Anyway, let's look at this typical file here. This is this particular carpet set, 84 to 89 Coupe. There's lots of variations, and this is the file that was used to cut this out. We also use as an extra tab, a tab that has the bubble felt for the back in, and we stock the Targa top material heel pads, if you know what they are, and that's how this is put together. But we roll out the carpet, in this particular case linen, press the button, and that whole carpet set is cut out in about 1 minute and 42 seconds to precise accuracy. The patterns are taken from original patterns, and we duplicate the original carpet set exactly. We'll look at that in closer detail in a minute. But again, we'll go for another little walk down the table here, and you can see that it's a full interior for this car. The customer has sent us the components required for us to rebuild, and before we'll look at the carpet set in a minute, but let's just start to look at some of these other pieces. And this is leather, full leather spec, with the exception of some of the things that were originally vinyl from the factory. I'm very pleased to say that we have again, our attention to detail. The Heritage is second to none. I have this original grained vinyl that was used on the later cars as a heavier grain from Germany, and we use that as it was from the factory on this rear deck and the cappings and rear quarter cappings and so on. The door cappings themselves, or garnish rails as some people call them, in this particular case were in very good original condition in black, so the customer chose to keep them along with the dash itself. Many times the dash and those cappings need recovering, even in black. They're typically done in skived leather, and we're going to talk about skived leather as we go here. It's a very important part of what we do at Heritage. Again, one of the many things that separate us. Here's a perfect example here. This skiving means to reduce the overall thickness, and it was done by Porsche factory, Mercedes and others, but we're talking Porsche here. So it was done by the factory for certain conditions where they want the leather to be thinner. The machine that does it is like a giant planing machine, reduces the suede off the back, and we can get it down to paper thin. It's used in paper thin for some applications, and we took a micrometer to every piece of original leather from every Porsche Mercedes that we do, and figured out exactly what the optimum thickness was, and we duplicate that exactly. So some things are trimmed in full thickness leather, and some things cannot be trimmed in full thickness leather. And you see that at the shows with competitors trying to do these door panel pockets, for instance, the tops of them in full thickness leather, and they end up with wrinkles and puckers all around this area here in particular. So we've got that factory original look happening here beautifully. These were in very good original condition. They're in exceptional original condition, and but often these don't come in this way. They need the early cars in particular need rework and or replacement. So there's skived leather used there. Another application for skived leather is this center console, skived approximately half the thickness of the original, and you can see the results there with the twin stitch and how it more or less looks like it's sprayed on leather, so tight. The armrest here and this armrest are also skived to approximately half thickness. This hasn't been finished. We wanted to do the video, and the guys are just finishing up this piece here. I wanted to show one that was already done, and so we're showing this one that we're doing for Porsche. And this is how it looks when it's finished. This is partly done. The substrate was in good condition, but faded. It's actually quite rare to see this in the molded color. So it was often when it was leather spec, or if it was a weird color they didn't have many of, they would have to cover it in leather. We've seen that many times before. Black leather, black vinyl underneath, or red vinyl. But in this particular case, it was color matched in linen. But unfortunately, the plastics in Porsches of this era, and actually many of cars from that time, and many cars these days, as a matter of fact, it still continues that they fade at different rates. They're different types of plastic, different exposure to the sun, and you get that patchwork quilt effect of shading, which of course the great advantage of covering this in leather is you get that problem solved. Case in point, these are the little kidney plate covers that cover the hardware on the seats, and you can see that they're often black, but in this case color match from the factory, and it's a shade difference. So the solution here with agreement from the customer is to cover these again in skived leather, so it's a perfect match to the seats, and where we've used full thickness leather. So right, so we've covered that for full thickness leather. You can see, let's show the technique here. We got a twin needle stitch that's down. We have a specialty machine that is exactly the right distance between the two needles. It's a purpose-made twin needle machine that we use just for our Porsche work, and then the back side of this, you can see, was hand sewn as it was in the factory. That's the only way to stop this from peeling back. No glue would hold that long enough, so that's how it was done, and that's how we're going to be doing this one for our customer Alan when we finish it up. And then we've got other applications. We supply every single piece of leather or vinyl that's required for the entire cockpit of the car. There's no, oh, you need one of them, it's extra, none of that. Down to the smallest pieces. For instance, these are for the A-post in front. They sit essentially in front of that rear quarter panel, which is there, that gets glued to the body. So that would come in a bag labeled so that the customer and or installer knows what it is. Same with these. This would come in a bag and it would say glued to body behind rear deck panel, and it's around about this position here. Without it, you see the red paint coming through. So that's how complete our kit is. It includes these type of pieces. So what have we covered? Let's just finish some of this here. We got the shifter, which is sewn as original. We covered the skive leather on the console, armrest, and so on. So, oh yeah, let's look at these. This is the door pocket lid. Often these are black, and you can see how beautifully the top stitching is done with our twin needle, and how they turned out. These are again in great condition. Often they're not; they're distorted and in poor condition. And then that's again skive leather, sewn skive leather with a twin needle. Here's the rear quarter panels. The wheel arches themselves are molded in white plastic from the factory, and very often reusable, especially in this later, in the late 80s models and so on. Some of the early ones need replacing. We have replacements in our aftermarket reproduction ABS, but these were in great condition, so we've cleaned them up, cleaned back the glue, and we've even, attention to the detail again. We're reusing the wax papered tape, masking tape, for want of a better word, and putting that back on. These are riveted together, trimmed separately and riveted together. We're reusing the padding, original padding that the factory used, so we get the right fit when that goes back onto the car. And you can see how beautifully it turned out. Flat panels, of course, are provided as brand new pieces, and then it's assembled like that, ready to go onto the car. Same with the rear deck panel here. Flat portion at the bottom is a new panel cut with the machine, our machine, and the rear deck, because of this molded shape here, is reusable as this one was. We've replaced the polyfoam on the inside with 3mm polyfoam as the factory did, reused the galvanized clip, and we've got a brand new panel at the bottom. We've got it stapled like the factory did for longevity and high quality of finish. The original pad put back on, speakers, frames are set back in. These little covers are recovered in the vinyl to match and placed back into there. Here's a great example of our twin needle work in action. You can see the very faint chalk lines that the leather cutter is used to guide the sew, and how perfectly these are, with the right amount of padding used to duplicate the factory original look. And that's a lovely piece and turned out perfectly. Upper door cappings, the galvanized metal in very good condition, as often the case on these, and trimmed in the factory original heavy grain black vinyl. You can see the results there. So they're looking fantastic. We spoke about these pieces. That takes us to the door panels again. Look at that. This was again, there's the Porsche brown interior there, and that was another deal maker when they saw our door panels like this. Look at that. So we have these are actually tool cut on a 10-ton press machine, as it was originally from Porsche. Look at the attention to detail. We've got brand new extrusion around the front and rear leading edges. We reproduced this and supply that. I got a phone call coming through. Let's cancel that. You can see again, it's our panel work on the back looks as pretty as it does on the front, and stapled outside of the metal frames, again for longevity, so none of this peels back. Again, care and attention to the detail. Original padding in very good condition was carefully removed and reused. If it needs replacing, we do that, but in this particular case it was just fine. Put the switch frames back into position. They were also in good condition, and again our immaculate heritage work with the twin needle stitch. The reason I emphasize the twin needle machine is a lot of just, you know, we don't consider ourselves an upholstery shop. We're manufacturers. There's a world of difference. At Joe's Upholstery, they're going to have a go at doing this. There's a great example of one from Denmark in the videos. Dig it out down below, showing this being done with two single passes, two single machine passes. The best sewer in the world, including ours, with our crew, which are phenomenal, and Porsche factory crew that are also phenomenal, could never sew parallel lines exactly 12 millimeters apart. It is impossible. The twin needle machine with two needles allows for that, and you end up with this factory look, and it really is noticeable when you're at the shows. If you see a reproduction interior, go look and see, and it's a telltale. You can, it's dramatic, the difference it makes. So we have this one, of course, the same thing. I won't go through that one. It's the same. What else we got here? We got the carpet set down here. I mentioned about the Targa top material that was used for the heel pads and things. Another exclusive heritage is this bubble felt that we have, that's cut oversized and then hand cut back to the carpet pieces. This was used by the factory to give reinforce into component parts of the carpet set that needed it. For instance, the toe board carpet here, you can see it has the straps put in. It has the leather around the shifters, pedals, and so on, as it was originally. Again, bubble felt on the back. This carpet set is, like I said, all cut on the machine. Some pieces like this are not, doesn't require any backing. They want this flexible so it can stretch over irregular pieces like that one between the two rear seats. And there's other components here that get glued to the car. Some have no binding at all. They just get glued onto panels that are on the car. Again, rear carpet set with the bubble. And finally the driver's mat. Notice how we get this correct look with the curve, which is this will relax as it gets heat in the car. This squeeze that we call it going through the binder machine is typical, and Porsche would have the same thing. It's extremely difficult to bind. Imagine binding this as beautifully as that through those thicknesses. We got the carpet, we got the Targa top material, and the back end. So the way we do it and the way they did it is this curve that stops this wrinkling. Again, this wrinkling will not be there given a little bit of time. If you want to see that not being done, as we all know, Singer make beautiful interiors, and they're very obviously they're not original. They're more like a street rod version, but beautiful work and nicely done. Always very tasteful colors, and the work is excellent. But they seem to have a problem with the concept of that. Go look at the leather carpet, in particular leather that they use. Someone didn't get the memo that you sew it in with the curve in. I've noticed that. I don't know if they corrected it. I think they make a flat carpet now and they do something else with the toe board. But anyway, that's how it was done at the factory. Where else is that used? It's used on the rear seat here, on the carpet on the rear seat. We have a brand new elastic. We have the fiberboard piece that's attached there, that's cut with the machine. that we're looking at our machine. We even have secured the correct silver rivets from Germany that we use for the backing back in here with a little turn up. You notice how the binding is turned up under there, which is how the factory did it, and there's the results. These rear cushions were in good condition. They're often in poor condition. In fact, the ones for Porsche were so poor that we used our molded reproductions in urethane. They're expensive, but in this particular case, we reconstituted the what people call horsehair. It isn't horsehair, but we essentially it's glue loaded molded fibrous material, mostly coconut matting, but other materials as well. And to make this good again, we load it full of glues, build it up over time, and then we end up with this nice crisp finish. We paint it black just because we like to. There you go, looks great. And again, twin needle stitched. And then finally, just got one of the seats here. We've got our beautiful work. We've got the perforations, the twin needle stitch, the bolsters. All the foams have been reworked to get these perfect results. And you can see how this turned out. Again, twin needle machine. This time it's our Mercedes machine that does this because it's wider. So this is, I believe, I said 12 mil. I was wrong. I think this is the 12 mil. If I said 12 before, this is a 9 millimeter for the Porsche and 12 for the Mercedes. Leather piping, all done in one piece as original. And these tracks on this seat were actually they were over greased and quite dirty. So we've had to cover these with plastic. You only have to look at this linen, and it's soiled, so we've had to take some precautions there, hence all the shrink wrap and plastic. These pads often survive well, and they survive well in this condition. We also repad these, and of course the scrim foam, the pads themselves, and within here this is all brand new. Of course, the same with the seat covers. So there we go. You can see how it turned out. Beautifully, nice little top stitch on the back here. So there you go, guys, all done in one take. Usually I take a break, but I was on a roll. The words kept on coming. I kept on going. There you go. So check out the videos down below. Samples available on request. We have the vast majority of factory original colors available and custom colors. Contrasting piping at no extra charge, other things. We don't do any custom, like extra lumbar, extra this. We don't do that kind of stuff. We make everything as original. But we send this product worldwide. If you look through our videos, you'll see videos of finished work going to Australia, which is probably our second biggest market, UK. So we do lots of right-hand drive. We speak right-hand drive, no problem. And of course we have all variations for the air-cooled 911s, Targa, you name it, we got it. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and we're very pleased with the way this turned out, and confident that our customer Alan in New Jersey will be also pleased with the results. And another little tip, if you're considering us and you're going to do the disassembly of your Porsche to send us these components, do yourself a favor and videotape, just like I'm doing now, with your camera from your phone, nothing fancy, as it comes apart. Film it, the switches, how it's wired, the screws, where this goes, where that goes, which way is up on everything you do. It'll save you a lot of time and headache. In this particular case, we're going to be sending back the door panels to the owner as he requested, so he'll have that as a guide. But always a good idea to detail the disassembly We don't want you to disassemble seats. They want those sent as is. But I'm talking about things that come apart, the door pockets and the doors themselves, and removing the panels. It's worth the effort, and you'll be thankful of the videos as you reassemble. Anyway, there you go, tip of the month, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to hearing from you.